Welcome back to PerpDex Daily. I'm Aaron. In today's episode, as always, we're going to be covering the PerpDex tokenization scene and the meme coin scene in crypto. Today is a bloody day for crypto. The macro is not looking too good. We're going to hop straight into it. Hype is getting not absolutely, but it's getting dumped today. Down 3% on the day, sitting at $54. It's sitting at the bottom of this range right here. And it really does look like it's going to eventually break down and come out of this range. Then it becomes, where do we go next? Well, next level support looking like $50, and then after that, $45, somewhere around there. I think it's likely we probably bottom somewhere in the 40s, but as always, we don't know where the price of things is going short term. But Lighter is showing a lot of strength. Lighter, despite Hyperliquid being down 3% today, is up almost 3% today. Lighter's chart looks really good, and unfortunately, the macro does not look so good. Bitcoin right now is struggling, and it truthfully does look like it's going to fall off a cliff. At least I think so in the next couple months. I think we probably are going to bottom out this fall, and we're going to see another leg down to, I don't know, 45,000, 50,000, something like that. And it's probably going to lead to a lot of liquidations, red candles on the altcoin side. But Lighter is showing a lot of strength today. Today's episode is going to be mostly talking about Lighter, just has more news. But yeah, things are looking good. And once again, Lighter's at a much smaller valuation than Hyperliquid. But one thing I want to point out is Lighter has traditionally, and when I say traditionally, I mean like the past, since they've had their TGE, so like less than a year, has kind of traded as a hype beta. Okay, so basically when Hyperliquid went up a lot, when I had this run from here to here, that's when Lighter started to kind of take off. Okay, and we've kind of seen that trend, at least on a daily basis, because I look at the prices a lot, that whenever Hyperliquid's moving up, Lighter will move up as well. When Hyperliquid dumps, Lighter will dump as well. And right now we're seeing kind of the inverse where Lighter's continuing to pump or at least kind of move up 3%. It could easily go back down. 3% is nothing in crypto. But Hyperliquid's down and Lighter's up. I just find it interesting. But to our first macro story of the day, we have day one of FOMC today, and tomorrow it's going to be announced what happens with the rate hikes or rate cuts or no rate change at all. So there's going to be rate news that's going to happen tomorrow. Today's day one FOMC. Tomorrow's day two. And Kevin Warsh is going to come out and announce, will the United States raise rates or lower rates or keep rates the same? I think he's probably going to keep rates the same if I had to guess. I don't know what Polymarket's saying. I could be completely wrong. It's whatever the FOMC board decides they want to do. So, but anyways, the Senate now has just 10 days to pass the Crypto Clarity Act before leaving for summer recess. Jesus Christ, summer recess. Russia publishes draft regulations to establish organized crypto trading. So Russia's going ahead and kind of, let's see who, wins that race, the US or Russia. Who will have regulation when it comes to crypto first? We'll find out. But anyways, to our first, when we look at the Hyperliquid, you can see there's actually a lot of buying going on. There is some buy pressure. I mean, not even just some, over $4 million worth in the next 24 hours. And I think that's pretty huge. Hyperliquid cleaning up over $1.6 million of fees in the past 24 hours. Reality is Hyperliquid has just lost mind share in the short term. That's the truth. Long term, it's fine. Long term, I think Hyperliquid will do very well. But in the short term, crypto Twitter moves pretty quickly. And once again, it's sitting at, I don't know, still a $15 billion valuation or something, 14 billion, something like that. So it's still a monster. And we're in a bear market. Bitcoin does not look great. And reality is probably most of the altcoins are going to get hit with, it's possible, another liquidation at some point. But as we go to Lighter, things are looking pretty interesting for Lighter. $1.4 billion of volume. Open interest has come back down under 900 million. But if you come here to the metrics, you can see in the last 24 hours, Lighter did over 200K of fees. So pretty cool. And yeah. Now to our first story, I want to talk about this. And I'm really glad Vladimir put this out. And I was going to almost comment about this on Twitter because for some reason, I do not know why, people on Twitter weren't able to understand that all of the value from the Lighter protocol accrues to the token. You know how it is with the internet, and it's like the same thing in it's kind of cliche to say, but like when you're a kid growing up in like high school or something, and a rumor spreads around, and people just believe the rumor. It happens today with the news and the media and the internet, crypto Twitter, where people will say things and nobody will fact check it, and then more people will just continue to believe it, and then it kind of just becomes consensus, even though None of them fact checked it, and it's not correct. It's just, oh, this is what we believe now because this is what most. And for some reason, that happened to the lighter token when it comes to value accrual. Somehow, some way, some guy on crypto Twitter was able to spin some narrative that not all of the value at this moment was accruing to the lighter token. So, and this is true. And one of the guys on the, I think Trevor commented about yesterday on Twitter, people talking like with authority and they don't really know what they're talking about, blah, blah, blah. And I was going to comment, almost say, hey, dude, like that's a PR problem for lighter, truthfully. And I'm glad Vladimir put this out because at the end of the day, if the internet or whatever is saying something that's bullshit, and it's your team's job as for PR to come in and clean that up. So I'm really glad they put this out because I was sitting there like, guys, you can't sit there and complain about people doing what people do. You know, you can't complain about people gossiping and spreading lies. This is what people do in every single scenario, every single industry, kids, young adults, whatever, everything, grown-ups, grandpas, whatever. Everyone's spreading lies and saying a bunch of bullshit. So it is your job as the team to make sure your PR is on point so you have the narrative and you're in control. So super glad this happened. And let's read it. So tokens and equity. He says, as more and more assets get tokenized and we approach a vote on the clarity legislation in the U.S., I wanted to offer some clarity on our side about how the lighter team is approaching tokens and equity. First, I should reassert our commitment that all economic value generated by lighter is accruing to token holders. This is huge. This is maybe the most important part. We made this commitment at our TGE, token generation event. That's what TGE means. And I've since then executed on that with programmatic buybacks totaling over 60 million lit. We have started burning lit in the amount of buybacks on a quarterly basis, the first such action having been done a few weeks ago. Secondly, I will share some background that has been obvious to our team, but perhaps has not been obvious in the industry as a whole since other projects in the past took a different approach. Our intent was always to bootstrap the project with venture funding up until the point of token launch. We are a U.S. company and there is only one entity. The same entity that issued equity during the pre-TGE years is the same entity that issued the token at TGE. Beyond converting to the token cap table at TGE, the equity cap table has no other function going forward. And this is really big. The equity cap table has no other function going forward. Okay. More practically, we did the last equity round we would ever do a few months before TGE. This round was oversubscribed by around 5x. That's ridiculous, by the way. 5x is ridiculous. With over 300 million of capital seeking allocation on a $68 million round. That's 68 million. Ooh, that's such a steal, man. For fucking lighter. Jesus. As such, all equity stakeholders, including prior investors and former employees, were informed of the plan going forward that their equity will only have value as an allocation on the token cap table had an opportunity to sell their equity stake. Anyone who disagreed with the idea that all value accrues to the token had an easy offering and a strong valuation. Less than 1% of the equity cap table participate in selling their stake. This is big as well. So they know, all the investors are aware of the situation. The rest all support our commitment to value accrual to the token by virtue of staying on. Lastly, I want to zoom out and think about what tokenization means in this context. Imagine a project starting at a future point when clarity is law, tokenization is a norm, and the SEC has completed its ongoing work in modernizing rules to adapt to digital assets. In such a world, the initial equity in the project will already be tokenized from day one. Operations like raising a seed round can and will be done on-chain. Such projects would default have token value accrual and can issue other tokens for utility or governance or other purposes as well. This is a feature that many of the builders in space have dreamed about for over a decade. And I think this is a really cool thing that the lighter team is doing, and the fact that they're pioneering this model. But once again, I'm super glad they put this out. And if this continues to be an issue on crypto Twitter, which hopefully it shouldn't be, I guess the team just needs to, put out more tweets around this topic and fight more in the replies, because that's the reality. It kind of sucks. And I've seen this before in, the crypto industry where, and this, once again, this happens everywhere in life, just some lie spreads and people just believe it and they don't fact check it and they don't care to fact check it and they're just going to roll with it. And I think a big part of this is also understanding this is how people think, that you have to realize most people, 90+%, they operate in this mind frame of, they just take things as fact and they don't fact check and they just, it's consensus. Okay, well, I guess that is what it is. And I think it's realizing that, most people are not super in-depth thinking about the lighter protocol, and that they're just going to take whatever they see and probably absorb it. And if enough people say it and enough people say it's consensus, they'll just take it as fact. So anyways, to our next story, this is very bullish. Tom Lee he has tweeted about Lighter before, but he's starting to get more vocal about Lighter, and this is really good. So Lighter, he tweets out, Lighter is a massive breakout success and a critical infrastructure layer for Ethereum. This is worth a listen. And Bankless did a podcast recently with Vlad. Really good podcast. Great stuff to see from the Bankless guys. David Hoffman's always promoting Lit. And this is huge because Tom Lee, I think he spent, $10 billion on ETH last cycle and last bull market. Last year or something like that. And he's really rich. And he controls a fund that has a ton of money and a lot of capital to deploy. And I wouldn't be shocked to see at some point Tom Lee scooping up some Lighter, because I really do believe the Ethereum bull case at this point is Robinhood chain and Lighter. And that's really the two that look the most attractive to me. And I really think Lighter winning is very important to Ethereum. I think his Ethereum bags do partially need Lighter to win. Lighter does need to win this battle in terms of growing a lot and stuff like that. So really good to see whales and really big people in the space supporting. I think Lighter's so grossly undervalued. Not financial advice, of course. And then to our next thing, take a look at this. Robinhood tweeted out, the story of our company starts long before many reach IPO. Robinhood Ventures Fund RV2 brings you closer to these early chapters. Vlad Tenev, the CEO of Robinhood, tweets out market calendars. Robinhood Ventures Fund 2 is coming. The roadshow begins August 3rd. I'm not positive. So my guy on X, this guy named Puts and Calls, he's a Lighter, you could say he's like a .light guy. He's like in the Lighter community. He tweeted out saying that Lighter is using this. Now, to be fair, I haven't actually looked in too deep into it, but I definitely should. I'll probably do it after I finish filming this, but he tweeted out that this will be using the Lighter backend. And I think one of the big stories I've been saying this about Hyperliquid and Lighter is that it's not all going to be, everyone's going to the lighter.xyz website or going to the Hyperliquid website. It's having the back end being plugged in and the front end's whatever else. And I think that's going to be the big story of how both protocols win big, is not just as these perp dexes, but as these liquidity layers, really, that are just the back end infrastructure for a lot of products. Not on the front end, but on the back end. Definitely going to check this out after I finish filming. Now I want to talk about this. Andy put out a great tweet talking about the Robinhood chain stats. Just take a look at this. This is Robinhood chain right here. And Lighter is, out of all the protocols, along with Ethereum, of course, and Arbitrum, partnered with Robinhood chain. So the success of Robinhood chain is bullish for Lighter. Very bullish. So that's important, and you just take a look at how much the Robinhood chain has grown since its launch. It's ridiculous. They've done such a good job. So really good stuff to see from Robinhood chain, all that stuff. But that's all I got for today's episode. Don't really have much to talk about. Oh, I have one last thing to talk about, and this is for the meme coin stuff. But I wanted to point this out, that Pump Fund, in their new banner, they put troll right here. And I do think that's interesting, because Pump Fund has been a big supporter of the troll coin, and I just put on Twitter, I think troll could be the beta play to Pump Fund. I think Pump really is looking, once again, it just went on a big run. It's going to be a coin that's going to be super volatile, and if Bitcoin gets dumped again, it's probably going to dump down a bit. But I think if Pump is able to do a 10x, troll could absolutely rip. But anyways, enough of the meme coin stuff. We'll talk more about meme coins probably another day. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts. Go follow me on X, join the Discord, do all that, and thank you for watching.